Hello everyone, Ceri the Crafter here, that's C-E-R-I the Crafter, and we've got another make with our 12x12s. So today's a bit of a mass make. Well, actually we make three of them. So I've chosen this sheet of paper out of the Stamperia pack. The Stamperia pack was called Dream, if you are looking for this specific one. I've just chosen something that's pretty much a generic nice piece of card. The one thing you do have to be aware of is there is text on here, so we need to remember that when we're looking at the orientation. Now for me, I'm going to possibly use that as the outside and this is the inside, but I'm going to take a look when I've actually cut it down to see what I actually want to do with it. So the first thing I need to do now is I need to pull in my guillotine. Yep, a big old guillotine's coming into play again. And once it's cut, it's cut. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this into 3 4-inch pieces, because obviously it's a 12-inch piece of card. So I'm going to cut it into 4-inch strips. If I can get that lined up nicely, which I can. That's one. That's two. That gives me 3. Now, from the bottom of each of these, I want to cut off 3 inches. So remember where your top is, or where your chosen top is. And I'm going to cut off 3 inches from the bottom. I like to keep the pieces together just so I know what I'm up to. I could cut this piece as this piece is going to be a piece that's added. So on this one, I am going to select the text. It'll all depend on what paper pack you're using as to how things make sense for you. And on this one, what does 3 inches look like? 3 inches. No, I think we're going to go with the bottom half again on this one. So that's 3 inches off the bottom. And that's all the cutting I actually need to do. So Mr. Guillotine can go bye-bye. So we have our 3 sets of pieces in front of us. Now, I'm going to work mass make stars, so I'm going to do the same thing on each one of them as we go along, just so you know that's what I'm going to do. So if I'm not doing one complete, but to be honest, these don't take long to do whatsoever. So first of all, I'm going to find the center of this. Now I know this is 3 inches. I know because I measured it. Is it 3? It's 4 inches. There you go. I'm already wrong, guys. I'm going to take my ruler, or take my mat actually, I can do this on my mat, and I'm just going to come in and put a little mark where the center is on it. Depends on which side I want, frontwards. I mean, it'll all make sense to put this together. So when I would recommend is watch this once and then maybe watch it back and make it at the same time. That way you'll understand the reasoning behind each of the little steps I'm doing. Okay, so that one belongs to that one belongs to that one, and that one belongs to that one. Now this is where they belong, but because it's the same paper pad, I could obviously pick up pieces and move them around should I wish. My next thing is I'm going to get a small round punch. This one is, I want to say it's a 1-inch punch. It is a 1-inch punch. Just a little punch. And what I'm going to do is that's my inside and that's my front facing. I'm going to turn this over. And I'm going to come in and I'm going to use that center mark. And what that has done is it means that when I do fold that up, I've got the notches in exactly the same place on both of them. As we all know, I'm OCD, so I really do like things to line up. So again, slip that on, give it a bit of a chip. Guess I'll be cleaning up the floor after this exercise, won't I? And come in with that one. And give that a bit of a snip. Bits flying everywhere as normal. Okay, next thing I want to do is I'm going to come in with my corner rounder. I'm using one of these. There are plenty of other corner rounders on the market. It's whichever you wish to use. Now, I'm not going to use the largest. I'm going to use the 7mm one. And I'm just going to do these top corners here. So let's just hope my corner rounder is playing nice today, because I don't know about you, but sometimes stamps have a bit of an issue with me. Punches have a bit of an issue with me, and they decide not to work when I want them to work. So There you go. That got it at last. Right, so that's all of the punching done for the time being. So that's my number 1. This is my number 2. And this is my number 3. And I'm just going to swipe that bit off there. Now, from here on in, I need to do a little bit of scoring. So let's pull that to one side so it's out of my way. Whichever scoreboard you've got, this is EK Tools. Can't even remember where I got this. I've had it a heck of a long time. So I'm going to take my piece in this orientation and I'm going to put the notch on my left hand side. Am I going to do this? Yes, I am. And I'm going to turn my piece over so I'm looking at the outside of my piece. Now, if you score a line, that will then become the fold. So the way I've heard it referred to before is if you make a valley, it becomes a peak. It'll make sense in about 2 or 3 minutes. So I'm going to come along here 3.5 inches and I'm going to score a line. And then from the bottom, I'm going to come up 1.5 inches and score a line. I don't think I scored that one straight, to be honest. That might cause me an issue later. So those are valleys. So the valleys then turn into peaks. Okay, so there you go, fold, fold and fold. Just give that a little bit of a workout. If I do have any areas that are slightly out, like as I said, I think I scored that wrong, it's going to be sorted out because I can just trim the edge. So I'm going to repeat that process with all of them. So I'm going to come in and I want 3.5 inches this side. And then I want 1.5 inches this side. Then the valley becomes a peak. The valley becomes a peak. I'll give them a little bit of a bone fold down. We'll be doing this again later anyway, but it's just for my peace of mind. Right, that's the next one. And on to the very last one. So here we go. We've got 3.5 inches from the top. The top is a bit with the rounded corners. 1.5 inches from the bottom, which is the one that has the notch in it for a pocket. Peak trough becomes a peak, or valley becomes a peak. So let's just sort that out there and put that to one side. So we're going on with this quite quickly, guys, because this doesn't take long. And this is what I like about making ephemera mass make style, is I want it to be quick because I basically want to build up my stash. And then for me, the enjoyment is actually decorating it afterwards. Now, am I worried that the outside is going to look the same on each one of these? No, because it's very unlikely that I'm going to have 2 pieces of this ephemera in the same folder. So let's just open that up. I'm just going to pop those in there just so I know where they are. Now, where's that one that I cut? I folded slightly. Okay, there's a little tiny bit there. I'm not sure you're going to see it, but it's actually out of line. So me being me, let's pull in a pair of scissors and I need to trim that little bit off. So, because I can't live with that. And I could do it afterwards, but why do it afterwards when I can do it now? Hopefully I'm in shot for this. As you know, I normally work looking through an iPad, and that's never the easiest thing to do. So we've got our 3 pieces here. Now, the next bit is really quite simple. Well, quite simple. It's a stage, but it's a simple stage, and that is gluing them together. However, at this point, what I want to do is I want to do a bit of distressing of the edges that have got the notches out. Now, you don't have to distress. I'm using vintage photo like most of us would normally, who are doing junk journaling, would do. I'm going to come along. I'm just going to catch that top edge. And the reason I like to do that with this is they're very similar papers. So I want to make sure that you can actually see that there is a pocket there. Now, if I wanted to, and I was going to use 2 different pieces of 12 by 12 and therefore make 6 of these, the papers in a pad are normally complementary to each other. So I could literally choose another complementary piece of 12 by 12 and do the same exercise, but then I'd have 2 lots of these made, and I could switch out this inner panel, this one here, for the other style. So hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully I haven't confused the issue totally. So there you go. Right, so what we're about to do is we're about to stick that in place into there. Now I want to make sure I stick it in there. I don't want to push it so far down that I can't close this up, okay? And it is important that you line up the sides. So for me, I'm using a touch of art glitter glue. You could use PVA. You could actually use double-sided tape. You can get a really narrow double-sided tape for that. I'm putting glue down this edge, or I would if it was coming out. Just a little trace down the side. Oops, trace down that side. Now I don't have to glue across the bottom, so I'm going to come in. I turn up the bottom flap just so I know where this is going to be positioned, and I'll press that down. Now I'm immediately going to come in and I'm going to do the same here along that edge and along that edge, and I'm going to flip that up. Now what I like to do at this point is I like to get a bulldog clip or some sort of clamp, and I just hold them in place. Now I've got a selection of these big bulldog clips. They just happen to be ones I've had hanging around. I use them all the time. So there you go. It just means that my hands are free. I don't need to be working on actually holding that in place. So again, mass make down the side, down the side. I have seen some crafters using hot glue. I probably wouldn't use hot glue for this, but I mean, it's a glue at the end of the day, and there are plenty of glues out there on the market. I wouldn't use a stick glue for this because I don't think you'd have enough control of the stick glue. Again, down the side, fold that one over, make sure it's all pressed down nicely, grab myself a bulldog clip. I can't tell you how long I've had these bulldog clips. I must have had these like 20 years now. I tend to use things like that because it just frees up my hands for the next job. And here's the last piece for the last one. And then we'll look at the closure, and then we'll see what we could actually, sort of things we could put within them should we so choose. Again, I like to fold up the bottom just so I've got the right place to push that down with. Come in again. A little bit of glue down there, little bit of glue down there. Now I'm sure these have been made in different ways by 100 other people, and there's probably other videos out there of different ways to do them. This is just the way I've done them. I don't know if I ever saw anyone do this first, or whether I actually saw some of these in a journal and then worked out how I made them. I don't know. I really don't know at this point in time. So those are all drying. I'll pull them in for you in a second. Now, the reason I like art glitter glue is it does glue really, really quickly, or it grips really, really quickly. So we'll leave those there a second while we're working on the next bit. Now, we need to work out a closure. For me, the simplest closure out there is just another circle of card. So what I do is, this is the place where you normally go for your scraps. So I've got a scrap bucket. Here is the said scrap bucket, full of offcuts of stuff when I'm working. And I've just pulled out two pieces that I think will be complementary to this. And I'm just going to use my 1-inch round punch. I'm just going to pop out and drop on the floor some circles. I'm going to do one grade just because I want to be different. And I would. There you go. Right. Where did that bit go? There you go. Now this can just go back straight into my my snippets box, or what I could do is I could cut all the circles out, and I've got little circles for the future. Then what's on the back of this white? The next thing I like to do is I like to get a pair of scissors, and I like to trim off just a little bit. As you can see, I'm just flattening out the bottom edge. There are definitely other closures, as we've seen in other projects that I've done. There are different ways of doing this. I mean, you could actually just hold it closed by putting on a paper clip here. I mean, you could use little magnets. You could use, there's little Velcro dots that you can buy that would close it as well. It's completely up to you. So all I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a little bit of my art glitter glue again. And I'm just going to run it along here. Now, if you look as a guide, you'll see that I don't need to do more than about 1/3 of the overall height of this. There's a little bit of art glitter glue on there, and I'm going to pop that down. I'm going to lay this down, find the center, which is 2 inches, which we know, and put it in the middle. Now I could measure it and mark it, but I didn't. I just eyeballed that one. I'm then going to what am I talking about? I'm then going to take a little clamp and put a little clamp on there. So again, a little bit of glue on here. There's probably a lot of glue on there, to be honest with you. Line that up, put it about central, get a bit of a squish. There's way too much glue in there, Griffiths. And then I'm going to take my little mini clamp and I'm going to put that on there. And this one, do the same thing. Line it up. Across the bottom. Lay that down, give it a little bit of a press, and take another one of the clips. And done. Okay, so that gives me my bases. We'll take a look at them in a moment, see if they're all lined up. Now, if any of these are not lined up down the edges, I can adjust them slightly, or I could cover up any misalignments with ephemera, say. So let's take the side bulldog clips off, because I'm almost certain those are going to be dry by now. Now, I've called these, what have I called them? Double pocket matchstick book folds. And I've done that because this method of closing something is very much in my mind like a matchbook closure. So that's why I've done that. But what we've ended up is we've got one pocket here, one pocket here. If you were to stick this down on a journal page, if you stuck it there, there and there, you could have a 3rd pocket behind it. You could just clip them in because they're nice on both sides. Anything that have got words on it, one of these has, I'm sure. As you can see, by keeping the words on the inside, the words are in the correct orientation. So I would leave these at this point and actually just put them in into my ephemera stash, just so that I've got things that I can decorate later. But I'm going to take this one step further and actually decorate 1 or 2 of them for you anyway. Now, what are the sort of things I will put in there? Okay, obviously, tags. The only thing you need to think about is the tag as tall as this fold? So you could put tags in there, you could put little folds of paper, you could put multiple tags in there, if I can get that in there, stuff like that. I mean, even things like a specimen slide, it will fit in there because this width here, or this depth here, is actually quite a large piece of measurement. It's 4 inches. 4 inches is quite some depth. You could put quite a lot of different things in there. So let's take these back out. Put those to one side. And now these are already going to have dried. So let's take my clamps off. There you go. So this is how I would now just put these into my ephemera stash and they would sit there. But let's see if I can actually pull these together and put a few bits of ephemera on here just to decorate them up a bit. So I'm going to bring in my ephemera folder and have a little bit of a look and see. Oh, it's quite cute. I wonder if that would fit. Well, if that wasn't made for that, I don't know what was. Right, that's going to stay out. I don't know whether I've got any sideways flowers. I think those might be a little bit. Oh no, that could fit. Right, they're all pink. Do I want something pink or do I want a complementary? Actually, I quite like that apple one. Or is it blackcurrant? I might be able to put it that way. I don't know. We'll think about that one. Let's have a look what else is in here. Just simple little things like a fussy cut flower would work. Let's put that out there. Do I want a sticker? I don't think I want a sticker at this moment in time. Let's turn this over. Let's see, that's probably a bit big. Yeah, very big. I've got other stickers here. Just little labels here. Let's pop that over. Fish. I'm not going to put a fish on this. That would just be ridiculous. Some homemade stamps. Let's have a little look. I think that colour's probably the wrong colour for it. I've got other stamps here anyway. I quite like the grey. Let's pull the grey one out, see what we can do with that. Moving on, butterflies. Right, we all like a nice butterfly, so let's see what I've got butterfly-wise, see if anything's complementary to this. That's quite a nice one. Have I pulled the same one out twice? I nearly did pull the same one out twice. Actually, let's pull that one and that one out. There you go. It wanted to come out, so it's going to come out. Now, everything I'm pulling out isn't necessarily going on here, guys. I'm just pulling out stuff for me to work with. Right, there's some really little butterfly things here. Actually, that's quite cute. I like that. All of the ephemera you see me using are pretty much things that I've made myself. Now, there's a sticker there. See, that's quite a good place for a sticker, actually, but I don't like the whiteness of that. If it was a transparent sticker, I would probably have used that straight away. Right, I've got a couple of my own labels here. That's quite a nice one. That's very dominant, though. That's a bit too big. I've got smaller ones in a box to one side, so we won't go down that route. Eggs, not feeling eggs. A couple of my painted book pages. That might work. Actually, that's prettier. Like it, but not like it, if that makes sense to anyone but me. Is that too big? That would cover the whole thing. I don't want that. So, and the yellow butterfly. Oh, the sun's come out. Actually, we'll pull that butterfly out because I might use that as well. What's escaping this page up here? All these little bits and pieces are just coming out all over the place. Right, so we did painted pieces. I don't think we need insects. I wonder whether we've put a feather on one of these. No, not calling to me. Birds. I could put birds, but I don't think I'm feeling birds at the moment. Right, okay, let's stop dithering around and actually get something on the go. I am going to pull out my tin of labels. These are labels that I've made, so I know that I'm totally fine to use them. I'm going to pull in a glue book without a whole load of stuff stuck on the top of it. And I'm going to pull in a glue stick. And let's see what we can do with these. Right. First question is, do I want to vintage photo the edge of this? I don't know that I want to vintage photo all of them, but I might want to vintage photo this one just to see what it looks like. I know there are lots of fans out there of using vintage photo on everything. I do use it quite often, I must admit. Now, I've got a bit of an error there, so I need to think about that if I'm going to cover anything up. I may need to put something over that, and that was just an error, as you saw me do. I don't think I lined up my cardboard correctly when I actually did my scoring, and I think that's where that's come from. So we'll think about that. Maybe we'll put a label on the inside. Okay, so let's put these out of the way because they're a little bit distracting. Okay, so first things first, what have I got? I really did like this when I saw this, and it is absolutely almost the perfect size. So I'll take that little bit off the edge. I do have a video on how I make these. I make them out of old book pages and just sew them, guys. So they're not hugely complex. There are ruffles. There are other options out there you could be using. I just quite like doing these. It's a way of me using up old book pages. Now, for me, what I need to be aware of is this tucks in. So if I'm going to tuck that in, I can't have that far down. But there's no reason I can't have it at the top. So as this is paper, I can use art glitter glue again. I could use Fabri-Tac if I really chose. I make sure I put a line of glue down the stitching because that's the important bit. And I just go around the edges. And the reason I like to put a line of glue down the stitching is it kind of protects it so it doesn't ever come undone. Because if the stitches are glued in place, we're not going to lose them, are we? Move that ever so slightly. Right, that does feel like it needs a little something else on it as well. As I said, I probably want to put something on the inside, but we'll decide that when we've done the outside. Right. I want something small in here, I'm feeling. It feels like it's a bit overkill. What else have I got around here? Oh, we've got to look at a label, won't we? That's probably all this will need, to be honest. It's actually quite a nice looking label. Let's have a little look in here and see what we can come up with. It just needs a little something, or maybe it needs a number. Right, I need to remember this. That feels a little bit large. Not hating that. I'd like something a bit more vintage-like in colour. Sorry, I'm busily rooting through all the stuff here. Actually, I don't mind that. That's quite cute. And I just want to catch the edges of this with a bit of vintage photo as well. And I'm just going to glue this down now. There was a time that I used to make my labels on label paper, but I had such a time trying to get the backs off labels, as anyone who's a regular subscriber to me knows, that I gave up. In the end, all I do now is I actually just come in and I will just do what I have to do, which is basically just print it on my regular paper and then cut it out. Right, I do think I need a butterfly. Let me have a look for the butterfly tins. Right, I've got 3 tins of butterflies here, and I'm looking for a small butterfly. I don't need anything huge on here because I don't want it to be that dominating. All of the butterflies I use, no, that's not it. All the butterflies I use are probably from Etsy, unless they're ones I've stamped and coloured up myself. That just doesn't look right. I'm looking for something that's got maybe a bit of pink or a bit of purple in it. Maybe I do need to go to a bigger butterfly. Some of these are actually fussy cut as well. That's a bit big and bold, and that's way, way, way too big. I may not have one, guys. Actually, that's quite subtle, isn't it? Maybe that's what that needs. I wish it was pointing the other way because I'd pop it on there. That's a bit too dramatic. I guess I don't have that many pink or purple butterflies, do I? Sorry guys, hopefully I'm not off screen. I'm trying to root around in this little butterfly box of mine. That's kind of appealing to me. I think we're going to put that on there. Okay, now something I do is I have 2 options. When I cut out butterflies, fussy cut them, I will cut a triangle around the antennae if I intend using the antenna in the end. I'm not going to use the antenna in this instance, and I'll show you why in a second. So I'm just going to come round and actually just fussy cut those off, because gluing antennae is an absolute nightmare. So I'm just going to come in, I want to put just a little bit of vintage photo on my cut lines, so it's not obvious that this is a white core paper. Come in, where's a bit that's not glued. This was a fussy cut out of a butterfly book, I believe. I'm just going to pop this on one corner, give it a bit of a press down so it's fully in contact. Then I'm just going to pull in, what am I going to pull in? I'm going to pull in a fine marker, and I'm just going to come in, I'm just going to draw the antennae back in again. Bobble on the end of each. And that's the quickest way I can do that. So there you go, that's just a really simple one. It's not about the decoration, it's about what's inside it anyway. So you would stuff that full of lovely stuff, and that could go into any sort of journal. So let's leave that one to one side. Let's pull in the next one. Okay, I keep looking at these little butterflies. Come here. And I really like those. Again, I have to make sure that I thread the button down, the flap down, just to make sure. Now, these can be decorated as well, guys. You could put a little flower on there. You could put a little bead on there. You could do something interesting on there, not a problem. Right, this is bugging me that that's slightly on an angle. Bear with me. I'm just going to take, I've got a pair of Fiskars scissors. These are the postal ones. And I would say I probably didn't cut that straight in the very first place. Take that bit off. Pull that away from there. Give that a little bit of an extra bit of that. Right, I do like that down there. I really do want to use some of these labels up because I like these labels. It's finding the right one. That looks like too much on one. I'm looking for a smallish one that to go up. Actually, that might be it. Bear with me. Sorry, you're not seeing what I'm doing, are you? Just a little one up in that corner. Just looks a little bit like a postage stamp. Now, I'm not vintage photoing the whole double pocket here, guys. I'm just catching the edges of this. So let's pull in a new glue page, or at least fold this one over, because I don't want it sticking to anything. Come in with a little bit of glue on the background. Take that off there and lay that on there. That's nicely done. Actually, I wonder, I'm looking at this thinking I quite like a little bit more background interest. Bear with me while I just disappear for a few seconds. I'm trying to find a rubber stamp I want to use, and I can't find the one I want to use. Found it. Okay, I've got a Tim Holtz rubber stamp here, and I think maybe if I put some text in the back of that, that might just give it a little layer of interest. Let's see, what colour have I got? Let's just pull in the black. Okay, I don't want to put archival on my pad, so I'm just going to do this. Let's use this side. Now I'm just tapping it down. I don't need a huge amount of anything. I just want a little bit of interest in it. And I think I'm going to come in and do the same thing on there. So as you can see, it's just a tad of interest. Just a little something in the background. So where's the lid gone? I've lost the archival. There you go. Let's put that out of the way. Yeah, my desk is beginning to look messy. That's the normal state of affairs. So I really like this there, and that gives it something to ground this. Now, I'm very conscious that you could be putting fabric behind things, lace behind things. I just always worry about the bulk that I'm adding to a journal when I start putting lace on stuff. But there is a really nice thing to do with lace. So there you go, that's the second one done. Right, let's pull in this one. And I really did like the look of this, but that feels like it's just, I feel like it's a bit too big. Let's just put this through here. Actually, this is calling to me, to be honest. I wonder whether I like that right in the middle. I quite like that right in the middle. Right, let's just stick that down. Try not to procrastinate too much, just trying to get stuff down on a page. Now, I wouldn't normally be making these and decorating these immediately. So I would normally make these, put them in my ephemera box, and then when I was working on a specific journal, I would actually then use them. I wonder whether I've got any words around here or numbers. I'm sure I do somewhere. Right. Numbers. Got some numbers in here. Let's see if I've got something that I can grab out of here. Actually, that's kind of what I was looking for, which I've just lost all over the place. Where are you gone? These are just numbers and snippets and things I've stamped onto coffee dyed paper. If you go to my mass makes folder, you'll probably see me use them there. I'm trying to get this one number there that doesn't seem to want to come to me. There you go, I've got you at last. So just a little serial number. These serial numbers were just clipped off the top of a raffle ticket. Just a little something to use. Just a little number. I like using numbers on things. Let's get this box out of your view because you don't need to be looking at that. Let's get rid of that glue page. And let's bring in a little bit of a glue stick on that. There you go. And that can just sit down there on the edge. Now, I was actually looking for words, wasn't I? Tickets. I could have sworn I had a box full of words somewhere. Bear with me. I have this little box full. I don't know what's in here actually, but I need to do some more of these. So these are just stamps I've just stamped onto stuff. See if there's anything appropriate. I obviously need to do some more making of this. Oh, there's another number. That needs to be in the other box. That shouldn't be there. I wonder whether that's cute after the summer. I think that is cute. Let's put that up there. So again, get the tin out of my life. A little bit of vintage photo on here. I'm going to have to just tear the ends of that off a bit because it's just a touch too long for what I'm liking. Touch of vintage photo around here. Just to outline it, just to define it against the background because it could potentially blend in with it. And that's not what we want. Go back over there. Now it's folded over because I have been gluing on that already. This looks like this was just in a book and I've just snipped out the title from maybe a chapter or a page or a heading or something. Putting that in the middle would be a good idea. So there you go, that's the third one done. Now I could obviously go in and put other things in here, like say, I've got a single number somewhere. I do have a single number. I could come in and pop something in there, and then when that's closed you see a little bit of detail on there. I could come in and layer stuff, but I'm not feeling that at the moment. I just want to leave that as it is. Mind you, I could put a Tracy Fox label there. Let me just have a quick look at all Tracy Fox's labels. Let's move those to one side. Where have I put the box? I've lost the box. There's the box. Okay, these are a digital from Tracy Fox, and I believe it's called Field Notes. That's way too big. I was thinking one of these little ones actually. Just something really tiny. That might work. A little bit of stuff around the edge. Let's put this on with this, it'll be fine. It is cardstock, but it's not heavy cardstock, so it'll stick quite well. So just a little bit. Actually, I'm going to put it up there. Don't actually want it to go on an angle. Let's leave it on an angle. There you go. So let's clear the decks a bit so you can actually see what we're looking at. So let's move those to one side. They'll need to be packed away later. So something really quick and easy, guys. However you want to use them, whatever you want to use them for. It's just something out of a 12 by 12. A 12 by 12 will give you 3 of these complete. All you need to find is a little bit of something for the closure. Those will go great in my ephemera box, and it'll give me something to use in the future in journals. So all it needs me to show you is these are my social media links. Thank you for joining me. Love you to share me, thumbs up, subscribe, notifications, all of that lot would be very helpful, and it would be lovely to see you as a subscriber anyway. Welcome to all the newbies, and I hope you enjoyed this. My name is Ceri, and I'm Ceri the Crafter, so that's C-E-R-I the Crafter. Until next time, bye-bye now.